Welcome to episode 20 of Basics and Beyond the podcast. I'm super excited to talk to you today about how to make this holiday your best holiday season yet. And how can we do that? Well, I'm talking to you today about making a plan, becoming aware, and choosing how healthy you want to be this holiday. Because guess what? Mental health and physical health go hand in hand. And if we overwhelm ourselves with being 100% on plan or maybe just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, things can become physically and mentally stressful. So let's jump in. I'm going to give you 5 strategies to make this holiday your best holiday yet. Welcome back, everyone. It is so good to be here with you in the midst of the holiday season. What a fun time of the year to be alive, to be with family, to be with friends, to have so many things going on. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but it can be fun. It's a good time. It's a good time, especially if there's a little bit of snow on the ground. Santa's coming. Love the holiday season. In fact, Christmas is actually my favorite holiday of all time. I'm one of those kids. I grew up in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and all those really fun late 60s, like Rudolph and Frosty the Snowman, and oh my God. Oh gosh, what's the other one? Oh, I can't even think of the other one right now. I can picture it, but all of those wonderful Christmas stories that came up only once a year that, you had to find the one time that it was on television on the one channel, Thankfully, my sister this year actually bought me the DVDs. I know if you don't know what a DVD is, you'll have to look it up, but so I can actually see them, which is exciting. But I love the Christmas holiday, but I can tell you, with all those great memories of being a kid and the toys and the gifts and the gatherings and, like I said, the fun TV shows, there's always a bit of stress involved in the holidays. And for a lot of us, that stress revolves around food. It revolves around consuming food, consuming beverages, in the presence of other people, at parties, at family gatherings. It can really be a stressful thing, particularly if we don't have a great relationship with food, or a great relationship with ourselves, or both. It can be really challenging. There's always this stigma around, what are people going to think? Are people going to judge me based on what I eat, based on who I am, based on what I say? I mean, there's just a lot, a lot of things that go into the holiday season, some really good and some not so great. So today we're going to talk about that food aspect of the holiday season and how you can help yourself to enjoy your holidays more, to be present more, and to love yourself more, even with food around, even with all those crazy family dishes and fun foods and all the things that you normally wouldn't eat. We can still have a good holiday season. Now, most of you probably already know, some of you don't, that I grew up and I have had lots of interesting food things going on with me in my lifetime. And I don't consider who I am my issues, right? So the things that I've gone through, being an anorexic, being a bulimic, that's not who I am. Those are things that I had to deal with and had to figure out, right? Had to go through therapy. I had to do all the things to figure those things out. But a lot of my coping skills were in relation to having food or not having food. And so when it came to holidays, I, like most of you, struggled to try to find what worked for me. And I'll tell you, there were many, many, many years where I fell down and couldn't find what worked for me. And I went with a plan, like, I'm not going to eat all those things. I'm only going to have X, Y, and Z. And I'm just not going to do it. That was my plan. Like, just don't. I guarantee some of you have had that plan too. It's like, I'm just not going to do these things. It was very much a deficit mindset. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have that. And what would happen is I would go and I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I can just have a little. And then I would have a little, and then a little turned into a lot. And then I got uncomfortable. Maybe my stomach didn't feel so great, or I got uncomfortably full, which is different for everyone. And then I didn't feel good. And then what happened? I started to beat myself up. I was like, every piece of food that I ate, I took it and used it as a baseball bat. And I beat myself up in the moment. And later, I would beat myself up. And at the same time, it didn't allow me to be present in the moment with the people I wanted to be with because I was mentally not feeling well. I was physically not feeling well. So it usually ended up that I was extremely uncomfortable in a variety of ways. And I would either leave early or I would kind of turn in on myself and not interact in the way I wanted to. So I'm coming to you in this podcast to talk about ways to help you not experience these holidays in that way. I want you to experience your holiday this year and every year with an abundance mindset, with a mindset of grace, and with a plan so that you feel good emotionally and physically. I'm not going to come here and go, okay, now these are the things that you cannot do. You cannot eat this, you cannot eat that, you cannot, no, don't eat these things, stay away from this, stay away from that. That is not what this is about. This is about giving you an opportunity to think before the holidays, to think before Christmas dinner, to think before the holiday gatherings. Just have a thought process and be aware of some things, make a plan, stick to it or don't. However, the awareness piece is probably the biggest part. Thinking ahead is the biggest part. And so we're going to start there, thinking ahead. Whenever I talk to people and I talk to my clients about the holidays and people struggle and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? The first thing I say is, how do you want, like my first question, how do you want your holiday to be? Like, why? Why is this holiday important? What makes this holiday important? Is it the food? Because food can be part of that, right? Food can be a part of the importance of it. Like I was just talking to a friend of mine, and over Thanksgiving, this friend of mine had, for the first time in years, had some recipes from grandparents and aunts and uncles and great aunts and uncles, and kind of those recipes that had come through all the generations, and was so excited to be able to have those foods as part of the celebration, which is fantastic. So that is part of it. But what are you hoping to get out of your holiday? Right? What is the point? Let's not go into this just blindly, like I have these things to do. I have this house to go to, this house to go to. I have to buy this gift for this person. I have to get a white elephant gift. I have to get a boy gift. I have to like, these are those are the nuts and bolts of it. Those are the scheduling aspects of the holiday. But when you really think about how you want your holiday to be, I'm really asking you, what is important to you about the holiday, and how do you want to feel, and how do you want to look back and remember it? Do you want to be fully present? Do you want to interact with certain people? Are you more excited to see certain people than others because they haven't been around more, or you haven't been able to talk to them very much? Are you excited to go on your trip with X, Y, and Z person? What is it about the holiday that's really going to be it for you this year? And that is what you need to keep in mind the entire time. Because then you can make a plan to make some choices that's going to allow you to have that holiday that you want, that you can look back on and go, oh my God, that was so fun. Oh, that was so amazing. Oh, it was so nice to sit with a granny and have that conversation and ask her the questions about when she was a kid. Or it was so great to see Aunt Joe because I haven't seen her for a while. And it was great. The house just smelled of all things wonderfully amazing from all the dishes that we had. And I remember those, the Christmas smells when I was a kid, and oh, I got to see, right? So we want those moments, those moments of our holidays. We want to be able to look back on them and really, really enjoy them and not use them as a way to beat ourselves up. And the only way we can do that is if we're present in those moments. So Think about those things. That's your starting point. And I know that's deep. That's good. It has to be deep, right? If you're going to honest to goodness, if you're going to live a meaningful life, you need to step back and you need to breathe and you need to be aware and really think about yourself and how you want to experience these moments in your life. How do you want today to look? How do you want tomorrow to look? How do you want to feel? And this is a great time to do it, the holidays. Okay. So if we keep that as our foundation, there are some things that we can do, especially if we have some food issues, especially if we have some health goals, or if we have some wellness goals, or if we have some physique goals, even, right? Some of us want to look a certain way, or we're training for something, and we want to keep those top of mind. The first thing to remember, as a caveat, before we even get into how we can make that happen, is that the holiday is only like one day, right? It's not the 10 days between December 24th and January 1st. I think that's 10 days, whatever it is, 7, 8, 8 days. It's not the 8 days. It's not full 8 days. It's one day, or it's 2 days. It's not the whole thing. So keep that in mind. There's opportunities in there to just have a normal life, right? The holiday is a holiday. That's why we call it a holiday. Anyway, so keeping that in mind, if you do have goals, and that's the thing too, right? So not only do we want to build that foundation of why and how we want our holiday to look and how we want to feel and what's important to us there, but we also have to ask ourselves, in that vein, if that's the way we want it to look, what do we need to do to make that happen? Right. So, if I'm super strict girl, that sounds like a superhero, right? If I'm super strict girl and I have these macros I have to hit and I have to do all these things and I have to hit all these targets every single day, and I'm absolutely going to do that on Christmas. Okay, that you can do that, super strict girl. Is that okay with you? Does that allow you to be present? Does that allow you to do the things that you want to do? If it does, great. Do it. Maybe you're not super strict, girl. Maybe you're like, I just want to go and do and be, and I'm fine. I'm not going to feel physically bad. I'm not going to feel mentally bad. I'm just going to go do, be, have fun, not worry about it. Great. That's perfect. You get to do that, right? Do that. If you're somewhere in between and you're like, well, I really want to enjoy the time. I really want to enjoy my moments. What I know about myself is that if I do certain things and I start to feel like really full, or my stomach starts to hurt, I'm not going to enjoy it. Or if I start to binge on things, I'm going to start to feel mentally bad about myself or about the situation, and I'm not really going to be present. I won't enjoy it. Then there are some things that we can do. To help you. And that's where we're at. And that's where I would suggest most people are. Is like, I want to go and enjoy myself, but I don't want to go crazy. And I want to feel good. And I want to be able to look back on it the next day, the day after, and still feel good. Okay. So here are some things that you can keep in mind that can help you over the holidays. Whatever gathering you're going to, remember, the first thing is that foundation. Why are you here? What is your purpose? How do you want it to look? How do you want to feel in those moments? And how can you stay present in those moments? That's number one. Number two, after you do that, here are 5 strategies that I use with my clients, I use with myself, um, to help me manage the food. If you're in that space where you're like, oh God, I need to manage how much food I'm eating and what I'm eating, this is great. Here's what I need you. Here's what you can do. Everybody's got the spread, right? You got that spread out, everything spread out. So number one, look over the spread. Okay. Look over all the foods. And you probably already know, if you've done this before and these are like similar people that you're with, you probably already know what's going to be there, but there could be some surprises. And particularly if you're somewhere where you haven't been before and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what food there is. Great. Take some time to look things over, right? Check it out. Check out the meal, because they lay all the meal stuff out right before everybody eats. Take a look around, see what you think. Pick out some things that you really want. Pick out some things, look at the thing, be like, oh, those are things I'm not going to eat. Like, there's certain things. Oh my God. Have you ever accidentally, it's just me, but have you ever accidentally eaten oyster? Um, oh gosh, no, I've totally lost it. It's so funny. Sorry. Stuffing, oyster stuffing, and you thought it was going to be like regular stuffing, but there was oysters in it. I have. That's not fun. So I think that was the day I realized you kind of have to look things over and know what you're looking at, right? So the things you absolutely don't want, you just disregard those, no big deal. But looking over everything ahead of time and being like, these are things that I really want to eat. Like these are my non-negotiables. I want to have that. I want to have that. Those are totally worth it. Totally worth the calories, totally worth the macros. I'm absolutely having some of that. Do it. It's fantastic. Um, let's back up 1 second though. Pre having the meal out, you know what happens, right? You know what happens. There's snackies. Have you seen the snackies? There's snackies everywhere. There's candy, there's cookies, there's cakes, there's snackies everywhere. If you're going to have snackies, this applies to snackies as well as like hors d'oeuvres. Sorry, let's get fancy. Hors d'oeuvres, snackies, whatever. These steps, these strategies apply to those as well as the meal. Okay. So you want to peruse everything, look it over. What's it worth to you? Right? What's good? What do you got to have? What do you absolutely got to have? Have a little bit of it. Okay. You got to have it. Do it. I'm not saying don't have anything. I'm saying have what you want, but make sure that you want it and make sure it's worth it for you. Okay. So survey the food, do that. Next thing, after kind of doing that thing where you're like, is this worth it to me? Yeah, I want some of that. Okay, great. So you grab your plate and you put things on your plate. I would say start out small, especially if you're like, I want to taste a whole bunch of stuff. Start out small, see what works for you, right? What you're really feeling that day. Every day is different. But you have to put your food on your plate. You do not, especially when it comes to hors d'oeuvres and snackies, do not stand there and graze. Absolutely not. Don't do that. So here's the strategy. You have a plate, you put the food on the plate. You only eat the food that is on your plate. Okay? Yeah, yeah. You don't get to like stick a finger in something. Like, God, don't do that, right? You don't get to double dip. No double dipping. No using your fingers. No grazing. Everything that's on your plate, that's what you can eat. When you get those things on your plate, like I said, you might want to start out slow just to kind of get a taste of things. You never know, especially if there's new stuff. Don't go crazy, put a whole glob of it on there. You never know if you're going to like it or not. Then you take your plate and you go and sit down. Yes, sit down and eat. We talk about this all the time. This isn't just for holidays. When you are eating at any point in time in your life, you should be sitting down to eat. You see how I said the word should? You need to be sitting down and eating. That gets your body into your parasympathetic state, which is your rest and digest. So sitting down to eat helps digestion, right? Helps us feel better physically, emotionally. It also slows down our eating. It also allows us the awareness around what we're eating because everything is on our plate and we sit down to eat. Okay. Then eat what's on your plate. Eat slowly, chew your food, eat mindfully, taste it. Always good to taste it, right? Chew it, taste it, take some bites, interact with the people, right? This is what we're here for. It's a holiday. We're not here to just shovel food in our face and everybody is quiet. We're here to interact, even when, don't talk to people with your mouth full. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. But in between bites, right? You can have a conversation and talk to people. Enjoy the company, enjoy the moments. If when you're finished with everything on your plate and you're like, and I'm not saying you have to clean your plate, I'm saying when you're finished eating the things on your plate, whether you finish them or not, but you're like, I think I want a little more of this, but not so much of this, right? And you want something else, that is when you can stand up and you can go back to where the food is, put some on your plate, and then come back and sit down and eat that. Okay. So the rules are, here's your strategies. Don't stand around the food and graze. Grab what you would like, take stock of what is there. Grab what you would like, put it on a plate. Take that plate, sit down at the table. Only eat when you're sitting down. If you would like more, you can go back and get more at that point and do the same thing. Know what you want, put a little bit on your plate, go sit down, eat your food only when you're sitting. Because here's the thing. That's going to give your body time to relax and calm down, right? Because, holidays can be stressful, different people around. There's always someone new. You don't know people, whatever's going on at the time, it can be stressful. So, sitting down, getting in your parasympathetic state, allowing your digestion to do what it needs to do, chewing your food, swallowing your food, relaxing a bit, having conversation, not rushing through the food, enjoying what you're eating, and enjoying the people that you're with at the same time. Because here's the thing, the bigger picture is, I don't know if you've caught this. I'm just going to let you in on it if you haven't yet. It's really not about the food. It's more about we are here. All these people are gathering together. We want to be here most of the time, right? Um, we're celebrating the holiday season. We're celebrating each other. We're getting together. We're having conversations. We're catching up, feeling good physically, emotionally, mentally. That's what it's about. So, whatever you choose to eat, notice I haven't talked about food choice because it's your holiday. If you want to follow a structured plan and you have macros and you're like, I'm not doing dairy or I'm not doing gluten or I'm whatever it is, that's your deal. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to tell you what to do on your holiday. It's a holiday. Now, the other 8 days or 7 days, we can have a conversation. But what we need to keep in mind is when it is a holiday and there is food involved, the food is only involved. The food is not the main event. The main event are the moments. The main event are the people that you're with. The main event is the memories that you make on that day. And the only way you make good memories is if you stay in the moment, you stay present, and you really make that foundation of that day being with these people, connecting with these people, laughing, smiling, hugging, whatever that is, finding that space in that holiday to celebrate who is in your life and whose life you're in, because you're just as important to them as they are to you. So, just a few things to help you have a great holiday where you can feel joyful, where you can physically feel amazing, where you can connect. And if you want to, you can stay aligned with those goals without even having to necessarily worry about what foods you're eating, because part of our physical health is our mental health. It's a big part. So, if you have further questions, if you want some specifics, if you want to talk specifics about what's going on with you and how that works, or how to make this work outside of the holiday season, you should connect with me. I do this. I do this for people all the time. I would love to help you find ways to be able to live your life in a happy way, in a contented way, in a way that you're feeling good mentally and physically. So we can use food in the way it's meant to be, to fuel ourselves and not in all these other ways. So we put our food in the place where it needs to be. And when it comes to the holidays, food is kind of a sidelight. The people, the places, and the interactions, the connections, those are the highlights. So if you need help, reach out. You can find me on socials. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm everywhere. You can even respond to this. So I hope you have a great holiday season. Take some of my strategies, use them. Let me know how they worked for you. We'll talk to you soon.